Good morning and welcome everyone to the Moneycontrol live stream. You are watching Markets with Santo and CJ, a place where the old school meets the new school. The risk takers meet the cautious. By the way, I am Chiranjeevi, but you can call me CJ, and with me is Santo.
Hi, I'm Santosh Nair. I've been tracking the markets for about 25 years now. Well, CJ, let me tell you one thing. When it comes to the market, there's nothing really like new school or old school. The rules don't pretty much change, and I can tell you because I've seen markets from the time when traders used to shout prices standing across in the ring, right to now when most of the trades are happening at the click of a mouse.
I beg to differ, Santo. A new wave of retail investors are, rewriting the rules of this game, and I will show you how they are doing it.
Well, CJ, okay, there's a saying, and I'll remind you of this, that new investors soon learn very old lessons of the market, and I'll show you how.
Okay, we'll keep arguing on this every day, Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. But what do we have on the show today?
Well, in today's show, we'll be discussing basically how the Q4 earnings is likely to influence market sentiment. There'll also be stock takes from me and Santo. Yes. We'll also look at the IT sector, which is pretty much in the limelight. Two major earnings expected this weekend, and we'll also be talking about some under key cover.
Yeah. But Santo, it's a Monday. Of course, it's a truncated week, but a fresh start for the market, and it seems that there is a lot on the market's plate this morning.
Yes, clearly, and I think right now the mood is pretty much cautious. Most of the chatter in global markets and even back home, if you see it, it's largely centered around inflation and recession. In the US, bond yields have climbed to their highest in almost 3 years, and that's pretty much bad news for equity markets. So back home also on Friday, RBI left benchmark interest rates unchanged, which you would have all greeted, but somewhere it has indicated that liquidity in the system is expected to get tighter, and I think the smart money in the market would have already noticed that.
What was with the bond market? I mean, the comment about real interest rate just spooked.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So if you look at the provisional FI and domestic numbers for that day, they weren't great despite the market going up. So clearly smart money has got wind of that, and they're slowly pulling out of the market.
And, Santo, it seems like market has taken cue this morning from your cautious tone. I mean, if you look at the Nifty futures that are traded on the Singapore exchange, they are down about 135 points right now, which is not looking good for our markets. US markets, however, were mixed on Friday, and Asian markets are again down this morning. That said, US bond yields were inching towards the 2.75 mark, which is not looking very good for us equity investors. And crude oil, however, was actually down 2%. So yeah, I mean, some hope there.
Well, the focus now for the next couple of months at least will be on Q4 earnings.
Very
but
important.
Again, a rider, much will again depend on what happens or the sentiment globally.
But what will benefit in this Q4,
So, for now it does seem like, commodity players, mostly metal stocks will have a very good time.
What a rally they saw in March.
Definitely, and been good news for them because of rising prices. They've been experienced some bit of margin pressure, but not so much. Overall, in terms of positive surprises, you're likely to see it mostly from commodity players. But for commodity consumers, that the companies that are dependent on, which have a major component input from that, I think there is where you could see some trouble. FMCG for one, they've been having a tough time. Auto companies, the sales have not really been picking up there. So it depends on what you have in your portfolio, CJ. So if you have commodity producers, that is pretty much good news. But if you don't, then I don't think it's a very pretty.
Yeah, I take your point, Santo. But if you look at the estimates that analysts have been projecting, it seems like Nifty Q4 PAT on profit after tax could go up as much as 25% on a year-on-year basis this quarter. Plus, sales growth is expected to be quite good, even though we must remember Q4 of last year was pretty good because we were just getting out of the the first lockdown, and there was a lot of buoyancy in the economy. I take your point. Of course, margins are going to be under the pressure, but the critical point will be what the management say. It is always the outlook that defines stock market and stock performance. And so far, it seems like they at least could be positive on the demand side.
Well, CJ, trust you to always look at the positive side of anything.
Well, of course, that was the long list of concern and the macro update that we have given. But what about stocks?
So TCS right up there, the company will flag off the earnings season.
Big earnings today, yeah.
So the quarterly numbers, what analysts are saying is that they don't expect any major surprises there. Sequential growth won't be all that great. But what they will be closely eyeing for is the commentary. Two big concerns here. One is that attrition. All IT companies in general have been facing
Yeah, I mean,
crunch, so that
every IT friend that I've been speaking to the past month has been changing jobs. I mean, I don't know what is going on there. I mean, companies might be suffering, but IT workers are having a gala
showing
time.
up in the margins of
Right.
all IT companies.
Right.
So, and the deal pipeline again is something that traders will be watching out for. On the whole, the stock looks technically well placed at this point, not very far from its 52-week high. Also, that was partly because of the buyback
yes.
which just got over. The other stock is ITC.
Wow, a meme stock on your plate.
And it's suddenly
Interesting.
back in focus after being pummeled all this while. I think it suddenly turned out to be the surprise winner. The stock is quoting near its 52-week high. Now, many HNIs are said to be have turned bullish on the stock. Interestingly, hotels, which are supposed to be a big drag, and one of the reasons why people were avoiding the stock is said to be the same reason why investors are warming up to the stock.
Possibly,
because people are traveling, they say that ITC's hotel business also could see some better contribution.
But you know what they say about ITC. When ITC is performing, it means the rest of the market is going to sleep. So yeah, I don't know how happy I am about ITC performing so well.
The third stock is Escorts, a big drop in the stock price in the last couple of trading sessions, down about 15%. Now that has to do with the fact that the open offer ended and a lot of shares which were rejected in the open offer. Traders who had bought those clearly from a short-term perspective, they have been dumping it in the market.
So you're saying that they did not want to hold it even if their shares were not tendered in the open offer?
Well, the fundamental side, fundamental picture doesn't look all that pretty at this point. March sales were quite subdued, but if you watch the pricing chart volumes, there's been a lot of accumulation in the stock.
Yeah, I can actually probably argue why they could be accumulating, because it seems like some of the analysts are pretty positive that towards the second half of this financial year we may see a rebound in rural demand. What's with the the jump in agricultural prices and agricultural exports? So maybe there is some hope for Escorts there.
And hope can be a dangerous thing to remember.
Yeah, but we all need it.
Cholamandalam investment, this stock too has been in the limelight for the last few days. A very strong Q4 update from the company. The stock is quoting close to its 52-week high. Now, about a 50% increase in loan dispersal and good numbers in the vehicle financing segment too. And the company has said that its collection efficiency has been quite good, which means that it's able to recover money from its borrowers. Borrowers are paying up on time, so that's the reason probably the market is
finally an NBFC which is showing higher growth rates than the big banks probably.
Definitely.
On the loan front.
The last stock is RBL Bank, a big sell-off in the stock on Friday. The sentiment very negative because the Q4 update was not all that great. This comes at a time when most other banks have been showing decent credit
I mean,
growth.
it's top of the chart when it comes to laggards. I mean, something is on with RBL Bank that nobody can explain.
Yeah, so a degrowth in its retail advances, that's dampened sentiment for the stock. And in addition to that, now the stock is in the ban list, in the ban for FNO ban. Which means that even if someone would want to go short on it, that's not likely.
Yeah, possibly. Okay, for my first pick, I'm going to turn to the IPO street. Veranda Learnings is going to list today on the bourses, and of course the company's IPO was subscribed about 3.5 times last month, and it seems like it could be a decent listing. Santo, a 10%. The grey market premiums are up about 10%, so we could have a firm listing from Veranda.
So I think the IPO season is still up and buoyant despite the overall cautiousness.
Yeah, and you will probably roll your eyes on this, but actually Veranda is a loss-making company, and they are still going to see quite a buoyant.
That's what I say. That's what I said a short while back, CJ. That something never really changed in the market, and
yeah, anyway, SMS Life Sciences, their API unit in Sangareddy got a clearance from the US FDA. It was inspected and nothing bad was found. So that is quite positive because the management is, trying to expand the footprint in the US market. GTPL Hathway, pretty weak earnings if you look at it, prima facie. Sales were down, PAT was also down on a year-on-year basis. But that said, we had a good operating performance. We had ARPU growing on a sequential basis. We had margins going and EBITDA growing. Plus, the subscriber base has also expanded. So, not all that bad. Shobha, a real estate name that has been doing great things over the past 2 years. Great Q4 sales booking, over 20% growth there. the management says that the consumer confidence is pretty strong. And it seems like the strong job markets that we talked about in IT, and Shobha being a Bangalore-based real estate company, is really aiding the sales and the sentiment in that market. Lastly, Delta Corp, a reopening play like nothing. It's going to announce its Q4 earnings later today. Is going to be one to watch out for, because it could provide cues into other reopening trades that investors were so buoyant in the March quarter. If you look at anecdotal evidence, demand or footfalls at the casinos in Goa was surging like anything. I mean, I don't know if you went to Goa, Santo, during the quarter, but I did, and I can kind of watch for that. So yeah, that's stocks. But आज sectorology में क्या है, Santo?
So today we're looking at the IT sector. Since we have two major earnings this week, there will be a fair bit of action across the board in IT stocks. It starts with TCS today.
Yep.
As I was mentioning a short while back, the big problem for most IT companies at this stage is that they're having trouble holding on to talent. So that is something that market would be closely watching out for.
Margins probably will also suffer because of that.
That is inevitable. On the positive side, you had fairly robust a deal pipeline, but what many analysts are also saying is that the deal sizes has not been all that great. So that is something that seems to be against.
So even if they are getting more deals, but because the sizes are smaller, it probably will not have the same effect that we saw last year.
So you've seen some sell-off in IT stocks over the last couple
quarter,
of months. But given that the sentiment across the market is turned a bit cautious, that's typically a time when people tend to move towards to IT stocks. So that is one thing, and most of the stocks are still closer to their highs.
Yeah, true, Santo. I mean, but if you look at it, commentary for IT companies has always been very crucial, and that is what defines market sentiment towards them and also the stock performance. And I'm expecting that probably, and analysts as well, that the commentary will be quite good this time around as well. I mean, according to MC Pro analysts, deal pipeline is seen to be very good. Even if you are saying that deal sizes may shrink, but if they're going to get a larger number of deals, then that is pretty great for them.
And I hope your friends don't keep jumping jobs once again, because that's going to make it very difficult for them to execute the orders.
I have no influence on what my friends do. Okay, outlook, again, as I mentioned, is going to be pretty strong. And as you said, there has been a decent amount of correction in IT stocks. So there is some bit of comfort also, coming in. I mean, on Friday, we saw some bit of positive momentum creeping into the IT sector. So yeah, this is one space that is really, we should really be watching out for how that happens, because let's remember, IT stocks have about 17 to 18% weight on the index. And if they move, they are largely going to make the index move as well along with them.
But CJ, don't forget what is happening to big tech in global markets. They're quite under pressure at this point.
Yeah, they are under pressure, but our IT stocks are, provide services. They don't make it, and they provide it while making a good profit. They don't do it on a loss-making basis. That said, थोड़ी अंदर की खबर?
Well, Barbecue Nation has been seeing some heavy volumes over the last couple of trading sessions. What we are seeing, the company witnessed a block deal last week when two major investors paired their positions. And the interesting part about that was that there were about 57 lakh shares which were sold by the big investors. Okay. And in the bulk deal segment, if you see, only about 30 lakh shares were accounted for.
I was curious, what was that all about? I mean, 50 lakh shares have been sold, but 30 lakhs were only accounted for.
Yeah, so which means that probably some traders had wind of what was going to happen, and then 27 lakh shares are still accounted.
Are you suggesting that
probably some HNIs have got into the act, so they are
interesting.
So we're seeing some bit of activity out there. The stock has slowly inched up. It was under pressure on the day of the bulk deal, but after that it's been slowly moving up. SBI Life is the other stock which is seeing some bit of uptick. Again, there was a big deal there last week. The
Carlyle, pairing its stake.
The Canadian fund, pension fund paired its stake, close to about 55 lakh shares sold. It was mopped up by a clutch of domestic and foreign funds. Now that the overhang has reduced from that counter, we are seeing some fresh interest building in there.
Yeah, I mean, life insurance also is a space that, I mean, is seen as structural, bull story in India, given the low penetration levels. And mutual funds, domestic mutual funds per se, if you speak to any of them, they're always bullish on the life insurance space. So it's not really surprising that a lot of mutual funds picked up stake there.
So CJ, what do you have on your plate?
GOG Financial promoters were selling there, so that is something that I was really keen to look out for. But I guess
We'll quickly take a look at the market. It is just opened, and as expected, as was indicated by the SGX Nifty,
not looking good.
The prices are under pressure in early trade. The Nifty has opened about 40 points lower.
Yeah.
And similar downtrend seen in Sensex stock also.
Around 200 points, yeah. I mean, but it's not as bad, Santo, as we were fearing. I mean, XGX was down about 135 points. So, I mean, a 40-point downtick, I think, is still palatable for me compared to, a 140, 150-point downtick.
So, this is just the opening trade. We still have a long session ahead of us. So, anything can happen.
I mean, it's interesting, Santo. If you notice, the mid-cap index is in the green. I mean, I remember over the weekend, a couple of analysts were telling me that the mid-cap and small-cap stocks could actually, start outperforming the larger cap names. This could be possible because maybe investors are differentiating between, companies that are affected by what is happening in the external market or the international market, whereas companies which are more domestic focused. Because here, if you look at it, we don't have that many big challenges, We are on a upward swing. RBI also highlighted that the economic recovery is happening. Of course, it's not as broad-based or as booming as the US market, but it is still happening, and therefore probably we are seeing the mid-caps and small-caps outperform there.
Well, it's still early days, I would say. CJ.
Yeah, anyway, with that, we have, concluded today's session, but we will see you sharp at 3 p.m. to wind down the day's action. Also, if you have feedback for us, please comment in the YouTube comment section below, and do subscribe and like the Moneycontrol YouTube channel.
And for more updates, stay logged on to moneycontrol.com, and we'll be back with more updates at 3 p.m.
See you and have a great day. I think something happened with the audio.